titled, Do Not Try This Yourself. How Flammable Is It? R32, great for heating homes, bad for cooking eggs. So this is the one that Greg, did us a favor and tried to set R32 on fire. We don't recommend trying this at home. This was in a lab done by professionals, all that. At Sprockets says R32 is what we should have done 25 plus years ago instead of nonsense R410A and now the new crap blends. Okay. That's at Sprockets on the YouTube video. So you can go look. That's an actual comment. Any opinions on that? Should we have done that a long time ago, and should we be messing around with blends?
I mean, I think I would agree with that. You know, when we switched from 22 and went to 410A, it was to eliminate, the chlorine that R22 had to save the ozone. So we went to 410A, which we all know 410A is a 50-50 blend, right? R32 and I think it was 125. And they added that other component there to get the flammability down to make it an A1 refrigerant versus an A2. Well, in doing so, they increased the GWP, which we're all concerned about GWP now. And they really made a worse refrigerant. You know, with R32, we're getting better capacities, better efficiencies versus 410A. So we had 10 years of limping along with a worse refrigerant versus just biting the bullet back then and going to R32. And people say, oh, well, the contractors, they weren't ready for the flammable refrigerants back then, yada, yada. Look, we've been using hydrocarbons or flammable refrigerants in refrigeration for just as long. I sort of say that we weren't ready for the change. It's just, it's bunk, I think.
Yeah. Why are we better at that change now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're better at that change now because why? We're being forced to, like we always are, government regulation. It's funny how when the government regulates something, we get better at engineering, we get better installation practices or something like that. It's weird. And so, yeah, and there's new blends. Any 400 series refrigerant is a blend. Say what you will about them. There's good and bad with all the new blends. Some people have concerns about PFAS and other things. There's concerns about, maybe they're not as efficient. Yeah, you can get better GWP than straight R32 with some of those blends, but there's other concerns. There's pros and cons with everything. So, yeah, I think if we just went straight R32 10 years ago versus dancing around the issue, the industry as a whole would have been better off, I think.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point. I guess I never really thought about the fact that we took R32 that has the lower GWP and we added something that had higher global warming potential so that we would reduce the flammability of it. And now we have simply removed the component that has the higher GWP and we're left with what we have. That's actually kind of
backwards.
I mean, hindsight's 2020, I guess. But if you have a blend, I guess there's other things that come along with that blend too, right? You can put your name on that blend, and I guess that's part of that conversation as well. Yeah, it's unfortunately kind of sobering. We could have been doing this for quite a while now. Didn't really think about it that much.
But yeah, now we got to go through another whole transition, which is it's tough. It's tough on manufacturer supply. It's tough on the contractors. Now they're having to buy different tools. It's a lose-lose situation for everybody out there. Now the consumers, we got consumer concerns because they're all worried about whether or not this is going to be a problem having that refrigerant in their house, which it's clearly not. But yeah, it just started a whole nother ramification that we got to deal with, and we're still dealing. It's going to take some time because even manufacturing hasn't still caught up with all the equipment now being switched over to the new refrigerants, and it's not just GREE, it's everybody. We're not there yet. So this is gonna be a tough summer with transition of equipment and everything for the industry. It really is.
Yeah, well, the good news about the R32 question is that we rely on a manufacturer right now that's been manufacturing R32 units for over a decade. So that definitely gives us a head start. That means that you're not testing anything this summer for the manufacturer. So I've said this a few times. It actually, with the high efficiency push, with the cold climate heat pump push, and with the the A2L refrigerant push, it actually puts us in an odd position of being kind of ahead of the game in a lot of those areas. Instead of something starting to be developed a couple years ago, and then you're going to be putting it in this summer. We have equipment that's been developed over the past decade or so. So nothing really new on that, in that regard. You're not a test subject, for somebody who just started manufacturing them. But hell, it's been like that for, heck, it's been like that for inverter driven equipment as well. We've been doing inverters for a very long time at this point, and these are still, inverter driven systems are still relatively new for some manufacturers, and you guys get to experience that. Fortunately for us, we don't have to experience that. So, but just come on over. Come on over and deal with an equipment manufacturer that's been doing it for a long time. Wow. Okay. I'm learning something new every day. I appreciate it, Justin. You in the last episode, you showed us the A2L, like how the A chart and all that stuff. You brought up, the flammability rating of it. You went over the the flammability of what, like methane or natural gas is, and propane, and all the rest of that. And I mean, it's all about connecting some neurons. Like we have a tendency to compartmentalize thoughts and stuff. So we got, like you're a car guy, you're like over here with car stuff, and you're over here with heating and air stuff. But just having conversations around some of this stuff, you can connect those two worlds. Um, yeah,
Cooking eggs.
like cooking eggs. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
Only
can
use
connect those two
R32
worlds.
for that. Be eating
Yeah,
raw
R32
eggs.
is R32 is terrible for cooking food. No question about it.